Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Bridge Builders of Diversity, where we're bridging the gap between the disability community and the typical community. It's very passion of both of ours.
It is.
And today, we're going to talk about adverse childhood experiences. But before we get into that, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. I'm Sherry. I'm a mother of a child with Down syndrome. This is...
I'm Roberta. I'm a special education teacher. And I first heard the term adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, when I was taking a training about trauma in the school. And what I did is, my experience goes like this. I filled out a questionnaire, and it was asking me things about my childhood from birth to age 17. And it talked, sudden loss, witnessing violence, things like that. And it gave me a score. And this score was, in my mind, alarmingly high, because what that meant is that this ACE score, well, it's not etched in stone, it affects your future opportunities. Someone with a high ACE score is less likely to go on to college, graduate from high school, maintain a fulfilling job or career. They're far less likely to maintain a healthy relationship or have good health. They're more prone to cardiac and systemic health problems. So what I wanted to do is alert everyone to the risk factors of adverse childhood events and experiences. I keep calling them events because years ago when I took this training, they were called adverse childhood events. So let me at first just define first childhood, which is birth to 17. And I already discussed that once. When you have had a lot of exposure to ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, then your risk for chronic health conditions increases dramatically. You're also at higher risk for mental illness, substance abuse, and it impacts your future achievements. And I will, not for nothing, I did have a high ACEs score, but and looking back over my own life, I did nearly not graduate from high school. I dropped out of college and didn't go back until I was an adult. So it did, maybe that high ACEs score did impact my ability to persist through difficulty and make it hard for me to finish college. Right. So that being said, this is not about me. This is about what adverse childhood experiences are. It can be sudden loss of a parent or caregiver through accident, violence, or suicide. It can be exposure to violence in the community or at home. It can be witnessing inappropriate adult content before you're ready for it. But also added to the list, which wasn't on my original list, was bullying, cyberbullying, and teenage dating violence, which I thought was really important that was added. Because before you're 17, this is still your childhood, and a lot of young men and women are very, very prone to dating violence and that kind of bullying, that kind of prolonged exposure to.
That's more prevalent today.
It is. If it's more prevalent or we're more aware, I always want to tease that out.
With social media though, there's more access to do.
Yeah, we're more connected in a cyber in an inauthentic way. We're more connected, but that's a topic for another day. Yes. But the other part of the list is chronic abuse, neglect, and severe poverty. So a child who's going without food, that is an adverse childhood experience. So what are the risk factors? I'm so glad you asked. Yes. Families experiencing caregiving challenges, that's a risk factor. You don't have somebody to watch the kids while you're at work.
Yeah.
More likely for something adverse to happen. Children who don't feel close or connected to their parents or caregivers. Youth who start dating very early are engaging in sexual activity early. And they didn't define early, but I'm going to say before 17.
Yeah.
That in my mind, again, I'm only a special education teacher. Well, I'm not going to say only. I'm a special education teacher, not a psychologist, but I feel like that would be early.
Yeah.
You know, within your childhood.
A child's emotional readiness for that.
Correct. Children or youth who are isolated and have few friends to engage with, they're at risk. Families of caregivers who have limited understanding of children's needs or development. So you are, I'm going to say, like a teen mom. Not all teen moms, but you might be a teen mom or an older mom, or somebody who just has not had a lot of experience dealing with children. That's a risk factor. Families with low incomes, that's a risk factor.
Having a child with special needs.
Oh, that's further down the list.
Okay.
That people with disabilities have their own list, so let me go on.
Oh,
yeah. So then there's community factors. If you live in a community with high rates of violence and crime, high rates of poverty, and with limited educational and economic opportunities, that's a risk factor. Communities with very high unemployment and easy access to drugs and alcohol, all risk factors. I'm not going to list all the risk factors, but just this is a video to make you aware of adverse childhood experiences and how they impact people in their future lives. So,
and you can read the list if you like. They're on the CDC website.
Yeah, we're going to put a link to the CDC webpage where I found this interesting information. Families of children with disabilities. Where did I find that list?
Well, and remember, while she's looking for that
Please.
list, remember that you don't have to be defined by any of this.
No.
They're just risk factors, and we create our own life.
Yes. And, well, that's what. I was going to end with that because
sorry.
because I had a really high ACEs score doesn't mean it has impacted my whole life. I am a physically healthy person. I have an advanced degree. I have a very rewarding career and very close relationships. So just because I did have a very high ACEs score, it didn't impact my whole life. I was able to take
started
control.
a little later.
I
did.
I just wonder if that had anything to do with my late start. So,
Right.
I can't find the last.
So just because
you have a high ACEs
Yeah.
score, and if you ever do take that inventory, please don't let it bring you down. Because when I first took that, I personally was like, "Oh, this is me. I'm a person who had adverse childhood experiences. This is going to impact me. I'm going to have a higher rate of heart disease." And then I was like, "Wait a minute, I don't have to. I have people around me who love me.
Absolutely.
I have deep and meaningful relationships. I have a very fulfilling and rewarding career. It's going to be okay."
Well, just with some of the things you mentioned fall naturally right in with the disability community, where bullying, they're higher risk of being bullied, sexual abuse,
Higher rates of poverty.
higher rates
Of isolation,
Mm-hmm.
higher rates of far more susceptible to violence and sexual assault. We did a video on that before, and while it's an unpleasant topic, it is very, very important to be aware of. So here's the good news. There are protective factors. Families can create, regardless of their socioeconomic status or where they live or what they're exposed to, they can create a loving and stable, nurturing relationships with your children. It is never too late to seek help and find somebody, a parental coach, try a child's school, seek out a social worker if your children aren't in school yet, and you feel that your children might be at risk, or you yourself have a high ACEs score and you want to end the cycle, reach out to your neighbors, reach out to your family, your community. There are people that are able to help you.
Absolutely.
And again, this is not medical or psychological advice. This is just us trying to bridge that gap and bring an awareness for you. So here's the good news, the protective factors. So we can create these loving, nurturing relationships. help your children by creating positive peer relationships. Screen your caregivers. Screen your caregivers. Make sure that you're keeping in touch with them and there are no secrets or surprises.
Stop in on them unexpectedly.
Yes. And learn how to help your children work through problems and engage your children in fun activities. They don't necessarily have to cost money. There's a lot of inexpensive rec programs out there. There's also community protective factors. So if you're a community leader and you're asking yourself, how can I protect children who are at risk? Here's a great way. Help families have access to basic needs, food banks, clothing closets. Help families find stable and secure housing.
Mm-hmm.
Help families have access to nurturing and safe childcare. Help families have access to, and this is near and dear to my heart, high quality preschools.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a decision maker out there in the world, these are the ways that you can protect the children of your community, regardless of the poverty, violence, and outside negative influences. You can be a beacon of light. You can create a safe and nurturing environment for children and bring down these ACEs scores and these ACEs risk factors. And speaking of children with disabilities, this bodes for them too, to have those meaningful connections, to not be isolated, to have access to quality education and quality nutrition. These are all protective factors. Regardless of what's going on in your neighborhood, you can create a safe haven for children. There is not one single ACE that will cause health problems or limited opportunities in the future. It builds up over many years. Factors contribute including personality traits and experiences of parents and the family environment, the community itself. All it takes to save a child is that one deep, meaningful connection. Mm-hmm. So you can be that connection. You can be that person. And if you need help, if you're struggling, and if you feel that your child might be at risk, reach out. Contact a social worker. Contact your local community action, and we're here for you. We love you. We appreciate you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Share this information with your friends. And if you have a question regarding adverse childhood experiences or any other topic that we've covered or not topic, drop us a comment. We would love to hear from you. In the meantime, we appreciate you. Like, share, and subscribe.
Bye, guys.
Bye.